Hello and welcome to Jankoti-Live. I am your host, Jankoti. Today we are deep diving into the engine room of modern enterprise, operations, digital transformation, and future of supply chain. As global market become more interconnected and volatile, businesses are realizing that efficiency isn't just a metric; it's a survival strategy. Join us today to unpack this as an expert who has spent over 2 decades navigating this exact terrain. He is a seasoned transformation leader with deep experience across manufacturing, retail, and complex global supply. He is known for his helping organizations shed legacy, technical debt, and embrace agile, future-ready operation. Welcome to the show, Mr. Loganathan. Some few words from your side will be great for the US.
Yes, thank you so much, Rahulji. It is an absolute pleasure to be here on Jankoti-Live. You hit the nail on the head in your introduction. Efficiency isn't just a scorecard metric anymore. It's a core engine of corporate survival. I'm really looking forward to unpacking these shifts with with you as well as your team and audience today.
Great. So, Mr. Loganathan, you have kept more than 30 years approx watching industry transform. Yeah, you looked at how supply chain works, production hub works, how you have also spent some 2 decade as of today, right? What you see the difference in the market. What you think is the single biggest mindset shift organization have had to make this change?
Okay, Rahulji, if I had to boil more than 20 years or 30 years of industry evaluation down to a single phrase, I would say that it is this. We have shifted from reactive optimization to predictive resilience with a proactive mindset. Of course, data-driven one. 2, 3 decades ago, supply chains were primarily about execution. That is, move product from point A to point B. Manage inventory by gut feel. There was no system kind of things. And fix problem as they arose. The information flow was very slow. I would say that, slow means once upon a time, I remember way back in 90s, the information, get transferred through Telegram, basically Telegram. Subsequently, it was, fax. Like that only we were getting that, all the informations. So the information literally, it was very slow, often paper-based, of course. And the decisions were made in silos. But today, the old steady state is completely dead. Completely dead, I would say that. We are operating in a world of compounding volatility from sudden geopolitical shifts and severe climate disruption to hyper-accelerated digital breakthroughs. Because the ground is constantly moving beneath our feet. Modern organizations have had to make a massive paradigm shift. So that we have been seeing that, or we are witnessing that. Especially the operations as well as the supply chains are no longer buried in the back office as a passive cost center. It used to be once upon a time.
Yeah.
Today, they are recognized as the absolute front line of business continuity and customer experience. In fact, forward-thinking leaders have stopped asking, how do we chase the absolute lowest cost? Instead, they started asking, how visible, how agile, and how adaptable in our infrastructure when unexpected things happens in the field. In modern operations, visibility isn't just a metric anymore. It's the new currency of survival. Now, if you look specifically at heavy infrastructure, process industries, and even the petroleum sectors, this mindset shift isn't just about corporate strategy. It is a literal survival mechanism. Today, you take the downstream in the sense where the distribution happens, that marketing, rather we can say that marketing. The marketing terminal operations, as a prime example, if you take, historically, product movement, whether it was evacuating white oils. White oil means is a petrol, diesel, kerosene, aviation turbine fuel, so and so, which are, the handling complex logistics was highly rigid because you had a fixed pipelines,
Yeah.
standard tank trucks. The capacity of the tank trucks remains standard. You cannot alter depending upon the market demand or depending upon the customer requirement. It is a fixed standard tank trucks. And traditional rail loading facilities or setups which are there available. In case if disruption occurred, the industry default responses was reactive. You scrambled. You took it on throughput. Of course, the entire throughput will get it. And you dealt with bottleneck after it occurred. Today, the expectation is that you anticipate disruptions before they happen.
Yeah.
Whether it is a demand volatility, supply risk, or logistic bottlenecks. Organization now have the tools as well as the dashboards. And frankly, the obligation to sense and respond is near real time. I saw this transformation firsthand when I managed petroleum terminals way back 30 years before, and later at zonal level distribution network. We moved literally from manual reporting cycles to digitalized, dashboards. The shift was not just technological. I cannot, say because of the technology, this has happened. Basically, it was the cultural. The changes happened, the cultural changes happened in the field or in the organization. People had to unlearn the comfort of, saying, we have always done this way. It is this way. And embrace a mindset of continuous visibility and continuous improvement, which we were able to witness that. The organizations that have made this shift successfully are the ones that treat data as an asset. They treat the data as an asset, not an afterthought.
Yeah.
Say globally today, for example, globally, all oil majors, globally across global, they have the, integrated supply chain planning currently.
Yeah.
Because earlier, the procurement of raw materials or crude per se in petroleum sectors or operations, logistics, as well as sales, they worked in separate silos. Today, all the leading companies use the integrated business planning, where all functions work with a command forecast and a command or a common data, common forecast and common data. It is the integrated planning platform, which helps this organization to optimize their inventory, depending upon the requirement, as well as the logistic care also is globally they were able to access without any issue. So this helps, especially this integrated, business planning. This helps them to organize everything systematically without any problem. I would say this is a new era of supply chain management as well as the operations.
Correct. I think rightly said. I think the first change, as you said, what we see is something but reactive to very, very proactive, because
Mindset,
it's all
yes.
data driven. Everybody has interconnected. So it's good for everybody that we don't make losses over there and we predict things in much more in advance, right? So that's one
Correct.
shift we have seen. And now making mistake is much more costlier than it was yesterday.
Yes.
So that two things I think are shifting people to go across, that they cover their legacy of what are the pool they have in their hand. So I'll just build a question on that one. So we know we have all the legacies in the system. Any company you take, I'm not taking names of the company, but every company has a legacy of systems, right? Outdated software, silo data, still there. Even if we are into AI age, we have seen that. When you step into an organization with heavy technical debt, what you start the modernization process without breaking the business. So how you plan that one?
Okay. Rahulji, I would say this is perhaps the most practical question any transformation leader faces in the industries.
Right.
The first thing I tell any team is do not try to modernize everything at once.
Yes.
Do not do that. In high stakes operations where complexity is there, my rule number one is absolute. Never attempt a big bang technology replacement. It is the fastest route to paralyze your operations,
Yes.
especially when you manage critical infrastructure as well as hazardous product. Okay, this is a recipe for cohorts and a surefire way to lose the confidence of your workforce. It is not only in the operations, even workforce also will get demoralized. Totally, they will get demoralized if something happens like this.
Right.
So my approach has always been to start with a thorough audit of the operation which you wanted to modernize, which you want to undertake that. Understand what systems are mission critical, most important.
Yeah.
What data is clean, whether you are having the clean data, which is the trustworthy, and where the biggest pain points which you have come across over the period, or currently you are going through the pain points which are on the ground. One has to identify handful of high impact nodes first, run pilot projects, and demonstrate measurable results. Take feedback from the field. Sometimes what happens, you may be thinking that you are doing the great thing or doing, favor to that frontline operations, but it may not, because the frontline operations will have the similar kind of, way of thinking or way of seeing the things, which we are rolling out. So you take the feedback, fine tune that, and again, if required, make the adjustment, make the corrections. The course correction is very much is required before you are going for systematically scaling it up
Yeah.
to
Scaling up.
the big way. The second principle is to keep business running while you modernize. You cannot, stop everything and then go for the modernization. So you have to parallelly, you have to run your operations, which is necessary. Introduce the new system alongside the old one. Build confidence. Train people and then cut over, not the other way around. Because I myself have witnessed in way back, 2003, when, company has rolled out from legacy to ERP, we were facing a lot of issues like this. So
Yeah.
this is the practical thing what I'm talking about or what I've been mentioning that. The third, this is often overlooked, I would say that. You must bring your frontline people along, which I already said that.
Yeah.
The person operating the gantry at fuel terminal or managing warehouse inventory they are your best source of insight into what is broken and what a better system should do.
Should be. Yeah.
Ignore them at your peril. You cannot miss out, or you are taking the own risk at your own risk. Say,
And
you were saying the technical debt. According to me, technical debt is a financial metaphor, and I treat it like one.
okay.
You pay it in installments, not all at once, and you prioritize the most expensive debts first. Because later on, because of this, shortcuts or outdated systems or imperfect codes, process, that save time today, but create extra work and cost in future.
Future. Yeah.
So currently, again, coming back to that example where we are having this kind of system, especially in the supply chain, management, the many oil majors are having the supply chain control towers, as well as, some people call it as a supply chain control tower. Some call it as a central command center.
Yeah.
Basically, it's a control room kind of things. This is a new buzzword among, oil and gas organization. So what it does, the control towers is similar to the air traffic control tower. Okay, you can see from the bird eye view, you can see that everything which is visible to that, the person who is sitting on that control tower. For him, everything is visible on real-time manner. So same thing in supply chain, the control tower provides the real-time visibility of their inventory, vessel movements, pipeline status, terminal operations, customer demand, as well as even ongoing project sites, that progress of the projects and so on. So many things are there. This is the control tower. In case of central command center, which I was telling you, you can control or view or operate everything and anything, like from refinery operations to marketing, move the product to the end customers, everything, pan-India basis or across the globe, you can monitor everything sitting at one place and then you can control it. If you don't require certain places where you do not want to, ship the product or for whatever the reasons, you can stop it literally sitting on that central command center. Yes.
So I think three biggest point for every transformation is no big bang always. The second takeaway, totally agree with you that the feedback from the ground is much more required because that's the real value and feedback comes like what challenges they're facing. And if you're able to complete at least 10% of their challenges, the operation will be much more smoother. And then the feedback coming from ground and he sees that the systems are built as for his choice, of course, with the business knowledge. So it will be more tightly glued, right? So that's what I
Yes.
see. I have seen people going across. So now
Yes.
we have talked about, we have talked about legacy, we have talked about transformation. Now, the biggest transformation in this decade, I think we have seen it all from, as you said, from paper to now AI. So every corporate board wanted to have integrate AI into their system and they want to rush toward that. I don't know what is the rush, but from a strategic governance perspective, how should leadership separate actual value-driven automation like predictive maintenance or forecasting and things from the general market hype which is there in the market like new tech or AI? How you see that?
See, whenever AI is discussed, I ask one question. What business problem are we trying to solve?
So,
If AI can help reduce downtime or improve forecasting or increase safety, and then it creates value. But if you are adopting AI just because it is fashionable, it may not deliver results.
so
My
true.
framework is simple. Start with the business problem again,
Yes.
not the technology. Ask what decision do we want to make better? Or what failure do we want to prevent? If the answer is concrete and measurable, then AI may well be the right tool. If the answer is vague, you are likely chasing a trend. But it doesn't apply to oil and gas sectors because they already have been taught all those things and then taken that, all the measures
Yeah.
and then they introduced. I can say that a predictive maintenance is a perfect example of value-driven AI in oil marketing or oil refinery, areas, especially in a pipeline and terminal operations. Unplanned shutdowns are extremely costly, both financially and in terms of safety, unplanned maintenance. So if you can use the sensor data, that IoT based sensor data, based on historical failures and machine learning to predict equipment failure before it happens. The return on investment is clear and quantifiable.
Yeah.
Demand forecasting is another strong use case where the AI based, especially in distribution, which is happening, where overstocking ties up capital. You overstock some places, of course, your capital gets blocked. And understocking losses the customers. Where the customer wanted something, you may not be having the stock means definitely you lose the customer, because customer cannot wait for, if you are not able to
Correct.
supply the product which they require. So where I urge caution for everyone that diffuse AI initiatives where success is not clearly defined. I would say that board should insist on three things before approving any AI investment. The number one, a specific problem defined. Whether
Yeah.
the specific problem statement is there, as well as the defined metric of success. And of course, a credible pilot plan. Without these three guardrails, you are writing a blank check for I. So again, I was mentioning that, that AI has already been put in use in that oil majors or oil marketing companies in India. So example, I was mentioning that predicting fuel demand before festive seasons, which is the main thing in India, because so many festivals are there in India. So, region-wise, area-wise, this differs, okay? This forecasting may help in replenishment of product well in advance. Means currently all the oil companies have got the data of that retail outlets, wherever the retail outlets is there, that automatic tank gauging systems, and then
Mm.
allege available with them. Everything is, made it available live with them. So with that, they can place the product, or I would say the reordering, or whatever you call it, replenishment, everything which happens with this AI. Then predicting equipment failures before shutdown occurs. That's what IoT-based sensors have been installed on all rotating equipments, compressors, everything, to sense the running conditions, or for the condition monitoring, especially to gauge the temperature, or for even for the pressure, or even for that control the oil level, or safety measures, everything. So IoT based sensors have been installed, so it will take care. And in case of the cross country pipelines, because today almost all OMCs are having cross country pipelines, so they have the SCADA. It is the application called SCADA is a supervisory control and data acquisitions,
Yeah.
through which the AI analytics is taken care, and then they are able to detect the leak if it happens, or theft or pilferages in the pipeline which happens. They are able to do this. Of course, optimizing tanker, routes, that is the tank truck routes you might be seeing in that road.
Yeah. Right.
Many tankers are plying. That reduce the logistic cost. They optimize that that entire route. That one. The another one which recently, about 5-6 years back, or rather 10 years back, they've introduced that. So CCTV, they were having the CCTV. Now what happened? The CCTV surveillance camera, which are connected with AI video analytics. So what does it? Monitors everything, even gas leaks or leakages, which happens odd hours. I would say that, odd
Mhm.
hours where the people may not be taking that, full time round, or they miss it like that. And even to detect the intrusion of the people, if they're trying to enter inside the premises, so
Then they will.
it will detect that AI analytics. As well as the regular working days, even shortcomings. Some people, if they are not observing that SOP, especially PPE, that personal protection
Mm.
equipment, if they are not using, it will throw the error to the site in charge. Even for it does the behavioral analysis. If people very rash in driving inside that premises, it detect and then give the warning. Many things, it detect the falls, it detects the accidents, even identify the smoke or flames. So many AI based analytics, video analytics have been made available in across the locations by this. Plus drone monitoring system is there to survey the area, or the tank farm management, or pipeline surveillance, inspection, offshore platform monitoring, project monitoring. So many things have been, put in use for this. Drone has been put in use for all those things. And today companies focus on multiple sourcing strategies. One, strategic inventories. They manage the inventories, alternate transportation routes, which they do that, and supply risk management also they carry out using this AI.
Great. I think, yeah, some of the things, I think first thing I pick up from this conversation is something, but business never runs tech. Sorry, business runs the whole tech. Tech never runs the business. Until you don't have a business study or problem statement, you never go across and build something across with that, right? So, going with all these things, we are talking about business, we are talking about the process problems and tech part of that. We have a core system where we talk about people. It's a generic issue. We have seen that we see a massive pool coming out of colleges, right? I think the numbers are around about 2 million to 8 million approx in different sectors. And but a parallel struggle for companies also to find industry ready. That's a common issue which industry has, that they don't get trained people for their need. How to, what will you suggest to build a better pipeline for transitioning the fresher into skilled professionals smoothly and steadily?
Okay. This is one of the most critical structural challenges facing by all kinds of industries today. I would say that. I have been directly involved with throughout my career. It is one I feel strongly about. The gap between academia preparation and industry readiness is real, but it is not insurmountable.
Yeah.
The first thing organization need to accept is that they must invest in onboarding and structured learning. Some companies have called that on-the-job training. The fresher has been put on the job training kind of things. So your fresher from even the best engineering college cannot be expected to walk into your complex plant or operation or distribution environment and operate independently from day one. That expectation sets them up to fail. They cannot expect that, the fresher to do that. Certain companies, I said that had strong apprenticeship and mentorship transitions, especially for junior engineers or management trainees, were paired with experienced hands. They learned by doing under guidance.
Yeah.
That model works, and it needs to be deliberately preserved. Even organization go digital. Just because they're digitalized, they should not discontinue these things. Because with this, they not only learn that, the job, they learn that intrapersonal relationship and interpersonal relationship. They learn the emotional intelligence, how to tackle in case of crisis, everything. Okay. This is the first thing. Second, educational institutions need to close the feedback loop with industry more aggressively. When I look at curriculum in mechanical or chemical engineering, there is often a significant lag between what is being taught and what industry actually needs. I myself have seen that. Okay, in mechanical engineering, I read mostly on centrifugal pumps. When I put in operations, I've seen so many pumps. It is not only centrifugal pumps. Centrifugal pumps are not there. Submersible pump, reciprocating pump, vane pump, and shuttle block pumps. So many varieties I have seen, which I have not even imagined. So, regular industry academia interfaces, internship programs, and joint certification courses can bridge this, according to me. Third, and I say this is as someone who has worked in HSC intensively, soft skills and safety culture must be taught yearly.
Yeah.
A technically brilliant graduate who does not understand why safety is non-negotiable is a liability, not an asset.
Yeah.
These values need to be inculcated yearly, not bolted on later stage. See, the one more thing we have come across during the COVID period, the any officer, whether is experienced or fresher, that everyone, they should develop the resilience, which we have witnessed during the COVID period, even the geopolitical risk whenever it happens. So the COVID pandemic and recent geopolitical tensions taught companies that efficiency alone is not enough. Supply chain must also be resilient.
I think, yeah,
Yeah.
I think you covered most of the point. I think I wanted to hear from the industry expert. Especially, I think government now has done some good things over there, where they have started with the national apprenticeship programs, right? Where they are also investing
Yes. Yes.
monetary
Skill
benefit on that.
development.
Correct. So that is one. College should also, so industry, what I expect from industry also, what we see as a critical skill development team, what we have, we also see that also government, so the company should go to the college and build some kind of lab for them, because tech cannot be brought by college. It's too heavy for them. It's like in the 80s, if you talk about a mainframe to be purchased today, we cannot do it. So possibly they
Correct.
have to set up a lab saying that, okay, for my area of operation, think about I operate in Chennai. So around Chennai, possibly I'll make a movable lab where it'll go and sit in a college for a week's time, and one faculty I'll put it across. He will just show everybody that this is the way things works. Which I have seen in case
Yes.
of, I think ISRO has done something, some mobile labs kind of thing. So that is helping. But people say the rocket is flying in this way, and the old tech was these kind of engines. Now new tech is this, and this is what exactly you get if you want to become a ISRO scientist. So at least the expectation is set over there, and these guys will also go across and they will go beyond Instagram and YouTube and try to learn from there. Somewhere hands-on kind of thing, not fancy kind of.
Exactly. Yes.